Welcome to eTeacher Pakistan webinar series. eTeacher Pakistan webinar series is an initiative of the eTeacher Plus for Pakistan program. The program provides professional development opportunities to English language teachers and learners across Pakistan, and it is fully funded by the Regional English Language Office at the US Embassy, Islamabad. These opportunities are provided through global online courses, massive open online courses, which are also known as MOOCs, webinar series, and alumni engagement activities. If you wish to gain more information about the eTeacher programming in Pakistan, please follow Relo Pakistan on Facebook, or you can visit www.evolution.com.pk/eteacher. The eTeacher Pakistan webinar series provides a platform to our alumni to cascade their learning from the online courses to the wider audience. In today's webinar, one of our alumni is going to share with you some tips and tricks that you need to know for successfully implementing an online class. To present on this topic, we have with us today Khansa Ayub. Khansa is currently working as a coordinator and secondary school English language teacher in public sector school in Rawalpindi. She is alumna of the eTeacher program and also has completed Advanced TESOL Practitioner course from International TESOL Association. Both the courses were funded by Relo Pakistan. In today's webinar, we are going to understand the importance of lesson planning and how this cannot be ignored even if your lessons are taught virtually. So she is going to take you through some of the basic steps that you need to know while you are making or developing your lesson plan for an online class. In the end of the webinar, she is going to share some tips and tricks that you can implement into your classrooms to make them more interactive and interesting for your students.
Thank you, Sidra, and thank you, Relo Pakistan and Evolution for providing me this platform and giving me an opportunity to share my teaching experience. Hi, and welcome to all the viewers. I will be delivering this week's webinar titled Some Tips and Tricks for Planning a Virtual Learning Teaching Session. Due to the pandemic, many in-person classes are moving to virtual environments. Around the world, teachers have already started facilitating live video-based sessions with students. Most of you, like me, are new to virtual instruction, but you will soon discover it has the same goals as face-to-face learning. And like in a traditional classroom, your role as an instructor is what makes these virtual sessions impactful and special. In this week's webinar, I'll walk you through some essential steps that you can follow to plan and facilitate these live sessions. Even though the learning objectives of both the classes are same, I would like to emphasize that as you transition from a physical classroom to a virtual learning environment, it's important to plan for the differences between the two formats. Some teachers consider planning a time waster. So before I proceed with the discussion, I would like to answer the question why we need to plan. Planning is the most important part of a teaching cycle. If the planning part has been worked upon, then the learning objective of a lesson can be achieved easily and with fewer resources. Planning helps teacher to structure the syllabus in such a way that neither the students are burdenized nor they're left so work-free that they learn nothing. Moreover, it also gives teachers a sense of control and direction. Even if there is any confusion among students, a teacher will be able to guide them effectively and will be able to cater to any question that they ask because she will be well versed with the subject. Also, it will help the teacher to focus on the basic knowledge first so that everyone in the class is at the same level before they are taken to the next step. Also, it helps teachers to manage their time effectively, and they can use that saved time to assist students that need extra guidance. A well-planned lesson has 6 basic components. Now, I will discuss step by step different parts of a lesson plan as taking one step at a time can make the planning part much less daunting. Each online session is an element in itself, which is part of a larger structure that has been created to achieve a long term specific goal, which is to get to the next level. That is why it's important that each lesson must have some clearly stated and well defined objectives. These objectives helps you in maintaining a standard teaching pattern by giving a session overview and setting clear expectations right from the beginning, which does not let the class deviate from the topic. Once the aims and objectives are in place, you need to pick a suitable methodology or a mix of different methodologies. Don't have to limit your online classes using lecture method only, as lectures without student participation can lead to a passive learning experience and will make the use of synchronous format unjustified. In a virtual learning environment, you can use a blend of different teaching methods and aids to make the online classes more lively and interactive. To foster interaction between you and your students, you can use debates, Q&A sessions, and group discussion. If you prefer giving lectures, consider pre-recording them so that students can view them on their own schedule. Taking this flipped classroom approach to asynchronous lectures can make you use your online sessions to walk through challenging content and to create opportunities for student participation. After picking the right methodology for your lesson, the next step that follows is to plan how you're going to engage your students, as it is important at the start of a lesson to get your learner's mind to think and to make them use any existing knowledge they have right away. For that, you can make use of engage activities. They're good warm-ups. You can make them play a little game, or if it's a language class, you can teach them a song, or you can make them repeat a chant according to their level. At this point, it is also important to check their knowledge retention from the previous lesson. For that, you can plan a brief recap. In a traditional classroom setting, it's commonplace for a teacher to ask students to discuss what they can recall from their previous lesson. But online, it can be difficult to make students to speak up or to fully gauge who remembers what. To cope with this issue, you can start your remote lesson by asking open-ended questions. Or you can ask each student to quickly share one thing they can recall from a previous lesson. One advantage of an online lesson is you can keep track of the number of responses and you can make sure that each student submits a response. In addition to that, a brief recap at the start helps you to check any knowledge gaps or any topic that needs to be revisited. After engaging your students comes the explain stage. At this stage, you introduce new material and vocabulary to your students. If you're teaching them vocabulary words, pronounce them first. Let the students repeat after you. If they're advanced learners, you can teach them the meanings of these words too. If you're teaching your students, for example, grammar, like verb tenses, you can introduce the concept at this point. For this stage, you need to plan different explanation methods. You can use methods like giving real life examples or creating hypothetical situations. Or you can use the help of a video to assist in better understanding. After introducing key terms and concepts, it's time to elaborate them. During this phase, the students explore the material with your guidance. You can do it by giving them a reading passage, a matching game, or you can make students watch a video and describe it. At this stage, let the students speak independently, but you can guide them if they are struggling. At the end of each lesson, it's important that the teacher evaluates that how much knowledge and understanding has been gained by the students. This can be done orally or by assigning some written work. In both cases, the teacher needs to draft the questions carefully, and he or she should keep in mind that what she intended the students to learn. Different activities can be employed to check the understanding of the students. One such activity which makes these end of lesson evaluations fun and engaging is to make students guess a character, a time period, or a scientific fact that they have learned from the lesson. They can ask yes or no questions turn-wise in an attempt to guess the answer. Utilizing online assessment tools like quizzes, polls, and surveys not only help in assessing the students, but the responses we get can be an inspiration for us in planning the resources and content of the future lessons. On this slide, I have shared names of some sites that offer some great free online tools that can be used to prepare quizzes, surveys, and online polls. Preparing for a virtual class can be challenging for a teacher who's new to it. In addition to the need to plan a lesson structure, the teachers need to adapt their ideas to the virtual environment. Adapting teaching strategies to remote learning is not an easy task. Effectively engaging and teaching students from miles apart means changing tactics, lesson plans, and perhaps at times learning new tools to aid the transition. To address all these areas, I would be sharing some actionable steps that you can take to set up, deliver, and wrap up your online sessions. The first thing to consider is the choice of technology. So, before you grab the first trendy looking online tool you see on Google or Twitter, slow down for a while and think, how is this tool going to help my students learn? A fancy new tool may seem the surefire way to increase students' engagement, but it may not be the case in reality. Prefer using platforms that the students and teachers are already using, or pick those that can work across different browsers and devices, so that everyone can access and use it. Accessibility is a major factor to consider in a virtual learning environment. Give students some choices and activities that play out to the lowest common technology denominator, as some students may have access to a cell phone that can retrieve a YouTube video, but not a computer. Keeping ideas such as these in mind can help all students learn. It's also a great idea in the planning stage to prepare a sort of a manual for the students on how to participate in an e-learning activity using specific and easy to follow instructions. Post these directions on the school's website or emailing it to your students can be helpful. Before each online session, send a reminder to your students so that they know the time and most of them can join. These reminders should include a link to the session, the contact info, instructions on updating the software, relevant material, and a list of clear expectations. Post-practice session for your students. These practice sessions gives you and your students the freedom to experiment with the online educational technology without the fear of disruption or missing out a presentation. Students can ask you questions related to the issues they encounter, or they can learn to use new features of the online platform. Although hosting practice session does not guarantee a mistake-free experience, but it helps the students to learn what to expect when the real session begins. Make use of audios and videos. Depending on the age of your student and the topic being taught, audio and video element can help in enhancing a lesson. For example, if you're teaching your students about a place or a historical site, make them take a virtual tour of that place. Videos and songs can demonstrate concepts that simply reading a text cannot. Just remember in e-learning to include videos or audios that contain small chunks of information, emphasizing the key points of the topic so that they can be easily absorbed and can be more memorable than just reading out the text. Including long audios and videos in an online lesson can lead to cognitive overload. When you're planning for your online class, think of ways in which you can incorporate visual aids into it. Many props can be found by just looking around your home. Like if you're teaching students about food, dig through your cupboards and find some relevant snacks, fruits, and vegetables that can be shown. If you're teaching about clothing, get hold of a few clothing items from your closet and show it to your students during the lesson. Use lots of images. They're very easy to include in an online class and can be used in multiple ways. Like they can be grouped together based on a criteria, they can be used in a matching game, or they can be used to visualize an idea. You can also allow your students to post images on the online whiteboard that they find relevant to the topic. Share with students sources of information. Instead of simply stating examples or case studies, you can explore them through the internet. And since most of your students are young learners who spend most of their time browsing online, this will be a territory they'll be more at. A virtual classroom allows you to share your screen with your students. So instead of simply giving them a list of websites on the topic, you can share them with the students in real time. Same goes for presentations. They can be shared directly from the website instead of being downloaded. In e-learning, the use of OERs, open educational resources, is becoming very popular. These OERs help in learning in so many academic programs and are valuable in providing high quality educational content to everyone. There are so many repositories of OERs. The most popular ones are American English Resource. It provides content for professional development of English teachers and for English students. For university and college level, we have OER Commons and Merlot. And for secondary and primary level students, we have Edutopia. These OERs can help teachers in so many ways and levels. One of my favorite OER is lab app called Science Animated. It helps in teaching physics and chemistry. Through this lab, students can experience procedures they have studied in the textbooks, and as they finish the lab, the students can compare the results they have generated with the theories they are studying in the class. You can also record your lessons and archive them so that students who could not attend it due to any technical issue or any other reason can review them. Also, after the online session has ended, the students can watch the recorded session again to review content and to clarify concepts. This recorded session is a resource and you can share it with the students by sharing its link via email, or you can place the link on the learning management system that you are using. In a virtual learning environment, students in most cases miss out the social interactive side of the lesson. So make sure to incorporate it. Encourage students to interact by including and planning a range of tasks and activities that involves a lot of dialogue and discussion. Also set up some independent work to support and reinforce the concepts being taught. Be mindful that when you are setting up a remote task, you need to be very clear in your instructions and explicit to your students about what is expected of them and how much time they should spend on each task. As the students are not in the class, so there might be uncertainty and confusion. By being very clear in your instructions about the task you're assigning can help your students in producing the best work possible. Be accessible by enabling students to reach out when they have a question or a problem, give them a sense that they have the support they need. You can do that during an online lesson by turning on the comment option on all the slides so that students can ask a question when one pops up. Or you can have a dedicated slide for question and answers in your presentation. Continuously take feedback. It's crucial for us while lesson planning to understand which ideas or parts of the course design are helping students to learn and which ones are not. It helps us in creating more effective and engaging online learning experience. I hope the strategies and tips that I have shared with you today will help you in planning your next online class. I know the work and effort that is required to set up a virtual class session is a lot, but it is surely worth it. On this note, I'll end my session. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you so much, Khansa, for your contributions towards the eTeacher Pakistan webinar series. The audience, if you have any comments, questions, and/or suggestions, please feel free to write us on eteacher@evolution.com.pk. If you are one of our alumni of the eTeacher Pakistan programming in Pakistan and wish to present in this webinar series initiative, please write us on the same email address showing your interest and the topic you would be interested in presenting on. Until then, we wish you happy teaching and happy learning.